What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Your Ex Drinking Buddy with me, your host, Brennan Tassif. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Full video available there. Check out the merch store. Look at all this stuff. We got all this stuff on the merch store. It's all available on the website, BrennanTComedy.com. You can also get my tour dates there. Every show that I have coming up, I'm going to be in New York, traveling the country, doing a bunch of gigs. So check it out. Get tickets at BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the merch store. And lastly, if you really want to support, go to www.patreon.com/BrennanTComedy. And that is where you can find Tales from the Restaurant, where I divulge everything about the celebrities I wait on. And also a little bit of behind the scenes. You'll also get the episodes early, a bunch of bonus episodes. Check it all out. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode.
Grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Your Ex Drinking Buddy. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from New York City, Hozho Harris. Ah! What's up?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Brennan.
for coming.
It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to basically tell everyone what a bad person I am.
Before we get too far into anything, and before you tell anybody anything, plug everything up front. Social media, any shows you got coming up. This will come out Monday, so let everybody know.
Awesome. You can find me on Instagram at Hozho Harris. You can also find me on Medium and Substack, where I publish weekly blogs and op-eds. You can also come to my open mic every Tuesday at the Rose, and I'm presently in the process of producing a very feisty show, so be on my socials to look out for that, as well as this fall, I do have my first full-length feature special coming out. So,
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I know, and you got a special in the works too. You're locked and loaded.
Yeah, special is going to be recorded in May.
Yeah.
I need something to do while I'm at home with the baby for a month with the wife.
Absolutely.
So I figured I'll cut some clips.
That's the only reason I want to get pregnant is because I think I'll be funnier.
I honestly, between getting engaged, which I have that bit about that you've heard, but between getting engaged, getting married, her getting pregnant, and everything in between, I've been writing a lot more stuff about, obviously, the stuff, because I'm a storyteller, so I talk about the stuff going on in my life. And I was like, uh-oh. Because as comics, we don't have a place to put it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a painter, you paint something, you have the painting. Mm-hmm. If you're a chef, you cook something, and then you eat it. But, as a comic, you're like, I guess I'm just going to move on from that material and never talk about it again. And I was like, well, I have a lot of this old material that I really like that I think is really good, but I have nowhere to put it. So I was like, I'll film it.
Look at that pattern recognition at work.
Look at that.
I feel like if I had kids, which I have this strange, I really want a big family. I feel like that's very unconventional for my generation, but I want a buttload of kids. I want a concerning amount of kids. I want to reverse the
concerning amount. I know those kind of parents.
Exactly. I want people to think I'm Mormon when they see me, you know?
Be like, is that, how many? 9? You said 9?
Yeah, that's right. The youngest one's Jebediah.
So I want to talk to you because, you got a lot going on and you've done a lot. So you don't just do stand-up. You're also a writer. You've been on
Correct.
all sorts of things, which I just found out about the other day when my buddy Will was in town.
Yes.
He was talking about some TV shows and you were like, oh, I wrote on that. And I was like, what?
Yes.
There's a couple, real quick, there's a couple people at the mic who I've had, or at shows that I've met that I've had on this show, and it's shocking. That is shocking, because I had no idea. You're an awesome joke writer, but I just didn't know you were writing for other things. And then, I don't know if you know this, Walt was an actor. He's been to cons, the film fest, and you're the bald firefighter? And you're like, yeah.
Dude, I would cast Walt to break into my house any day. I would cast Walt to be criminal number 3.
100%.
Absolutely.
But it is just a weird thing. So I learned that about you, and I want you to tell the audience, because stand-up comedy is a niche thing. It's a very, because and I say this all the time, but just for reference for you, I'll have people come into the restaurant and they'll be like, oh, you do comedy? I love comedy. And I'll say, who's your favorite comic? And they're like, Jerry Seinfeld. And I'm like, you don't know shit about comedy.
Yeah.
Like, not saying he's a bad comic, but I'm saying like that's from 30 years ago in the 80s. So for you, how did you get into stand-up? And even before that, how did you get into writing and just the business of show, as it were?
I think I always knew I was meant to be a stand-up comedian, and I feel like I know a true comedian, someone who has clown blood in them. They can't get the funnies out of them. They're addicted to making people laugh, and I ask them one question, which is, when is the first time you made someone laugh to survive?
Oh, interesting.
And I think that is where I find a unanimous experience with all comedians. We all share an experience, whether we had a parent who was ill, you were bullied a lot, you had to find a way to connect with people quickly and make them like you.
Yeah.
And I moved around a lot as a kid. So I was born in Sells, Arizona on the Thun-Otham Reservation. Mm-hmm. And I was literally the only half-white kid in the school. And I have two brothers, and they were the only half-black kids in the school. So we stuck out like a sore thumb. And then when I was 7, my mom moved us to Duxbury, Massachusetts, with a 99.5% white population.
That's capital W, capital H, white.
White, son.
Yeah.
And so overnight, I went from being the only half-white kid to being the only native kid instantly, and constantly feeling othered. And as well as being in school, even up to being in university, where people look you in the eyes and they talk about you like you are extinct. They talk about indigenous people like we're woolly mammoths or something. And I'm like, I'm right in front of you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, see these Cheeto-stained fingers? I'm an
here.
American.
I'm standing right here.
Yeah.
So, why stand up?
Because I feel like it's an amalgamation of so many art forms, and I feel like there is a obsession with communication that I've had since a very young age, and finding a way to connect and communicate with people as quickly as possible. And it's so interesting because when you're a comedian, I compare comedy a lot to magic, because it's a very similar approach where a lot of it is environmental magic, and it's misleading the audience and lying the whole time.
The whole time.
Whole time. You thought I had nothing up my sleeves. I got 2 fucking doves.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? And so...
Has that been in your pocket the whole time?
Yes, it has. How'd you get through security?
Don't worry about it.
Don't
I'm
worry
a magician.
Magic.
So I find this fascinating because this is something... There's someone in my life. We'll say that. I'll leave it at that because Tracy, who I'm contractually obligated to mention on every single episode, my beautiful wife, there's someone in our circle who... looks down upon stand-up. And it's interesting because they'll be like, how would you ever make money from that? And I go, well, you love to read. You've bought in books? Mm-hmm. And she goes, yeah. And I go, well, some people love comedy. So they buy tickets to shows. It's the same thing. You know, a writer. I'm a writer. I just write on stage. You know, I present it differently, but I'm still it's still a thing. So it's like trying to explain. It's so interesting because people who don't understand stand-up or don't like stand-up, it's like they're like, I don't get it. You just get up there and talk. And I'm like, yeah, you've gone to a book reading before by the author. It's the same thing. Like, why are you not getting this?
There is an envy.
How could you love to read but not understand what I do?
I call it clown envy, and I often compare, it's very funny, I compare SpongeBob and Squidward, where there is this Apollonian and Dionysian affect between comedians and the rest of the world. And the rest of the world is when people don't have the same passion and dreams and aspirations, they want to bring you down to their level.
Yeah.
They want to be reassured that they've made the right decision. And if they see you chasing your dreams and succeeding, you're kind of shattering everything that their world is based on. And so if you
the whole
look
foundation is upside down now.
Correct. So if you look at SpongeBob and Squidward, SpongeBob makes magic out of anything. He could be washing his dishes. He could be blowing bubbles. He's having the time of his life.
Yeah.
And Squidward constantly looks down on him for being this clownish, immature person who sees such joy in life. And meanwhile, they live next door to each other. They work the same fast food job. They're equals in every way. But there's still this need to feel superior because SpongeBob believes in himself.
Yeah. And it's To the magic point, it's funny because in that same breath of conversation, I set her up like 10 minutes prior, went all the way through the conversation, came all the way back around, and then callbacked it. She started laughing. And immediately when she started laughing, I turned to Tracy and I just winked. And I was like, I got her. And she's like, well, I'm not. You didn't do that on purpose. I'm not laughing at the... And like it became like a thing. And I was like, no, I had you. I had you from when you said I don't understand comedy. I was setting it up in my head.
Yes.
I misdirected you the whole time and then called back to it to make you laugh. And so badly, I wanted to like mic drop and be like, that's what I do. But she was so adamant. She's like, well, you didn't make me laugh. I didn't laugh at the thing that you did. And I was like, yes, you did. I got you.
Did you try telling her that she was a little horsey and you had a sugar cube in your hand?
I led you the whole time.
Oh, the whole time.
I knew where we were going. So for you, you decided to get into comedy. So I'm interested because of your background, growing up, obviously first in Arizona and then in Boston. Where did you go to college?
So I went to the University of Arizona. So
Okay.
I went back to college in Tucson, Arizona. My father lives in Tucson, and I love Tucson. And I consider Tucson kind of like my home base. It's the one city that I seem to, regardless of where I moved, I would always find myself coming back to Tucson. Like
Okay.
I'm in an abusive relationship with Tucson, Arizona.
Wildcats, yeah?
Go Cats.
Go Cats, baby!
Go Cats!
So you've bounced around, obviously. When did you decide I'm going to try? Because you got into writing first, I would assume.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was something that you...
I was even worse than a comedian. I started off in poetry.
Oh!
Yes.
See, this is what I wanted to find out. So you started in poetry.
Yes, I became like a national poet laureate.
Oh, that's high praise.
At high praise.
That's a big fucking deal.
My sister's like 1,000 times better of a writer. She's like my biggest hero. My sister, Lizzie. If you want to read good poetry, please check out Lizzie Harris. Like my sister is genuinely phenomenal.
We're going to tag her in the show notes.
Tag her in the show notes because she has the most phenomenal poetry. And if you want also just to hear about how sad my childhood is in a very beautiful way, you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah. Love a little trauma.
Love a little trauma. And so I started, basically, I was either a kid that was always succeeding, but always getting in trouble. And I never got in trouble for like bullying another kid. I got in trouble for asking questions or seeming like I'm too knowledgeable and that I was basically messing up the authority that the teacher had in the classroom. But I never did anything wrong. And I eventually had a teacher who was this phenomenal Filipino woman. Her name was Miss Miller. She had a white husband. And so she took my writing and she said, hey, I want you to know I submitted your writing into a contest when I was 12 years old and I won.
What?
Yeah. I know. And then like
so at 12 it was kind of like, oh, this is a thing.
But I always found myself, right, even when I was like a kid, I'd make my own books. And it's so funny, I recently was visiting my father.
Write that down. We gotta make your own books.
I made my own books, and it's so funny because I was visiting my father and clearing out storage, and I found a book I made as like a 5-year-old, and I wrote an ISBN number on it.
Really?
Yes. I wrote my own ISBN.
So the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of times I've done the show for many years. I've had a lot of guests on. There's always, not always, because only Sith deals in absolutes, but for a lot of times there's a connection to the arts, whether it's the parents, whether it's I tried this thing when I was acting when I was 5 because I had so much energy, they didn't know what to do, whatever it is. But finding like writing and comedy normally comes later. But for you, it was flipped.
I was reverse engineered.
Yeah, you found writing. Your teacher, Miss Miller, found writing for you when you were 12.
Yeah.
So you were, because this is an interesting thing, because I was 12 when I started watching stand-up. My cousin introduced me to it, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I didn't think I want to do that until I was like 17, 18, and I didn't try it until I was 22. You were winning awards at 12.
Yeah. And it's hard for me to process that as a kid and take on that accomplishment, and that extended further. I eventually helped create and found an AIPA broadcast award-winning program when I was in high school, and I literally dumpster dived for materials, and I taught kids how to create what's known as vox pops. And a lot of those kids I taught are podcasters or still in broadcasting to this day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they hated it. They hated me. They wanted nothing to do with it. And I basically dangerous minds kids 2 years younger than me.
Well, that's the other thing too, is you're not this authority figure. You're just in the school with them.
Exactly.
Wow.
How do I reach these kids?
You're accomplished.
I'm trying my best. And I think, again, it's all about connectivity. And I always knew I was meant to be a comedian. My nickname in my high school principal used to call me Little Margaret Cho.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, you're going to be a comedian one day. And I knew as a high schooler that I was way too gooey in the middle. And I always found myself getting on stage, whether it be acting, whether it be I was in really bad punk bands in high school.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to, do you have some names of those punk bands for the audience?
Absolutely. We have Pussy Whip.
Yes, of course we do.
Mysterious Pie.
Oh, the first album.
And my personal favorite, Financially Raped. Let's go. Let's crush that glass ceiling, ladies.
What'd you play?
I played guitar and I sang.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Front woman, of course.
Front woman
obviously.
energy, obviously.
Obviously.
And it's not like I was very good, but I found
It's punk. You don't have to be good.
It's punk, but also I find myself, if you hand me any creative medium, it doesn't matter if it's a camera, it doesn't matter if it's a piano, it doesn't matter if it's paint, I will find a way to express myself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're a very creative person. How did you get into writing on the shows?
I would say it was a very happenstance opportunity where
Because it was Reservation Dogs?
Reservation Dogs, correct. And then also Two Pink Doors on FX. So basically, they're both FX programs, and there is a very strong Indigenous Resource Center at basically the University of Arizona, and Sterling Harjo came in to speak, and I approached him and I told him how inspired I was, and I'm I'm also a writer, and
He's the creator of the show.
He's
correct?
the creator of the show. He directed, he wrote, he's amazing. He is so freakishly talented, and I think it was the first time that I looked at someone and went, I see myself in them, which I never saw myself in anyone.
Yeah.
There was no representation for me. And so seeing someone who came up from a similar background to me and be so confident in their creative conviction, where I felt at that time where I still was so insecure about being a dirt poor kid growing up in a trailer that it's why would anyone want to listen to me? And he really built the confidence in me to say, you know what, I actually do have something to contribute, and people do like to listen to me. And that confidence is still growing within me every day, but I see my followers grow. I see how cool my fan base is. And I think all my fans are very romantic and creative people. They're people with a joie de vivre.
Yeah, as it were.
As it were. And so I approached him after that meeting, and I was I just had no idea what I was doing, Brendan. I was hey, I like to write. I'm
You like to write. I like to write.
I'm native. You're native. Let's connect.
Crazy.
And so he's yeah, let's get some of your ideas in. And so getting to bring stories from my culture and different aspects of my culture, and getting to have that comedy that is so sincere, because I think Native humor is actually very similar to Eastern Bloc humor. It's very much gallows humor. It's very dark and circumstantial, and I think a lot of people, they have a hard time catching on to that, because when Natives express joy, it could seem a little scary at first.
As someone whose grandparents are fresh off the boat from the Eastern Bloc, I completely understand. You're no, we're happy. It's really? Because everyone's screaming at each other.
You don't understand how happy he is. He's dead.
And you're okay, all right, cool. I'm obsessed with little details, so I want to know, you talk and then it's, hey, let's exchange ideas. Just take me through before you actually get the gig, that in between time. Are you nervous? Are you like, I don't know what I'm going to say?
I literally
what do you
just
do?
felt like he was like, wow, this is just some random kid coming up to. I really felt like he completely disregarded me.
Yeah.
And then I just get like an email one day and I'm like, what?
Oh, so he reached back out to you.
Yeah.
Wow. So then did you just submit a packet?
Like basically I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even submit a packet. I was like, I have so many ideas. You want to have a phone call?
Can I be very honest with you?
Yeah.
That's how I still am to this day. Everyone's like, you need a writing packet. You need to have some of your work, like a portfolio. And I'm always like, I got a lot of ideas I'd like to share with you if you would please give me a call.
Exactly.
Because I don't know what the fuck a packet
Me and my
is.
flashcards.
Yeah. I was like, I got a lot of notes on my phone. Do you just want me to send you my phone app?
Exactly.
So you have the call and it goes well, obviously, because you end up writing for the show.
And again, I didn't even think the call went well. I was like, I got so nervous. And you know when you're nervous and you're like, I feel like I'm speaking in double time.
Hell yeah.
And
hypomania. I get it a lot.
Oh, yeah. That hypomania is strong in my bloodline. The sleepy ones didn't live, my man. There's a reason why I wake up at 3 a.m. every day.
And you're like, It's so funny because the therapist is like, oh, you're hyper aware. And I go, that's not from having a great track record. That's not from good things.
No, exactly. Like, oh my gosh, I could have gone pro if I was like a tweaker or a criminal.
Oh, yeah.
Just the super strength within me, I'd be fist deep in copper.
It's so funny when people are like, oh, you're so good at waiting tables. Why is that? It's like, oh, well, I kind of see everything. It's also why I like doing comedy. And they go, oh, that's like a superpower. And I go, yeah, but I didn't get bit by a spider. I just got the shit kicked out of me by my ex-stepdad who's an alcoholic. So I don't know.
No, I just watched my Uncle Ben get murdered in front of me.
it's like,
That's
I don't know.
why.
It's not really a cool story. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've got that talent. Yeah, I guess.
Exactly. No, it's the same thing. Like, so I graduated with 2 degrees from the University of Arizona, one in marketing, one in like marketing digital science and so forth. And so it was a very funny thing, but I have a joke I tell people all the time where I'm like, comedy's just to pay the bills. My real dream is marketing. Marketing.
So you have the phone call. You think it doesn't go well.
I think I made a total ass of myself. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this guy probably thinks I'm lame.
I've been
I'm
there
like,
a million. Where you're like, you so badly want to say something and express the emotion you have inside, or at least for me, the emotion I have
like,
inside.
fried bread's so good, my mom hit me too.
But then you just don't know how to. It happens to me when comics that I really like and respect come into the restaurant because I'm just like, and I just word vomit all over them, and they're like, yeah, thanks, and I'm like, okay, we're best friends now, right? We're gonna be friends.
I know nothing like finding a woman that I think is crazy beautiful and a man I admire where I'm just like,
You're pretty.
yeah, I choose you.
Yeah. So then what ends up happening after the call? Because I just, a lot of times in this show, people will be like, oh yeah, and then I went to college and then, I moved to New York. And it's like, yeah, but what happened in between that? So
Yeah.
you do all these things. The phone call doesn't go well in your head. And then does he call you back? Do they call you?
No, basically, I get a message back from the FX team saying like, hey, Sterling's really interested in you being a contributor. Do you mind if we hop on a call and get some details in?
And that's it.
And that's it. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Package schmack it for all of you listening.
Yeah, take your packet and shove it.
Just freelance it, baby. So I want to pivot into, when did you move to New York?
I moved to New York in 2023.
Was that after, obviously it's after the writing and everything, was that to pursue comedy or was that to
Yes.
pursue writing?
It was a mixture of both, but I think more or less stand-up comedy, because when you're pursuing comedy, people are like, hey, you basically have 2 choices, either New York or LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt that New York was a city that genuinely loved comedy. It's
Yes.
not just a pure entertainment city. And I still have an ex-girlfriend who's like, you should move to LA. You should come to LA. You do a lot better acting if you were in LA. And I'm like, you know what? All the movies that are produced in LA are about New York.
Yeah.
That's right.
Also, it is, I mean, this is a biased opinion because I live in New York and I moved to New York and I went through the same thing. It was New York or LA. And I remember getting off the subway because I came to New York as an adult once before I moved here. I came up here with my ex-girlfriend and I remember getting off the subway going, oh, it's New York. Like just the energy, the busyness. It helps my anxiety a lot when there's so much going on around to focus on that I can't focus on myself, which is like another thing that we talk about in the super secret program I'm in is, you know, you got to get outside of yourself. And we say that for sobriety, but it also works for my anxiety. If I'm around all this stuff happening, I can't be like, oh, did I leave the stove on? It's like, I need to know if this guy's going to fucking murder me. So I can't worry about the stove right now. But it's so fascinating because I go to LA a lot because I have a lot of friends out there and I love them and LA's great and it is what it is. But to your point, I think people who move to New York for comedy move to New York for comedy. It's not, oh, I get it. Because I've had people on the show where I'll be like, oh, why stand up? And normally it's I loved it. I have a background in it. My parents loved it. Or like in our case, it's like, well, I didn't fit in and I had to figure out a way to make people laugh, which was my experience as well. And so, but I have had people on be like, well, you know, I wanted to be famous and going to an open mic is a lot easier than going to a bunch of auditions. And I'm like, I totally misjudged you. I should not have had you on the show. And all those people have eventually moved to LA. So
yeah, no,
that's the point I'm trying to make.
I think it's a very wild thing for me because I have such a fervent love of comedy and writing jokes and just bringing joy to people. I think that is one thing I love to do is just finding ways to get people to have those laugh-gasms, those uncontrollable funnies where you could see you're hurting someone. I still remember...
They can't breathe and you're like, gotcha.
remember like making a Middle Eastern man saying, stop, it hurts too bad, stop. And if it was like the most rewarding thing in the world, having a man beg me to stop because I was causing him so much physical pain from laughing.
When, this is a question I always like to ask comics on the show. First time on stage doing stand-up.
So the first time on stage doing it's very funny because I feel like I did a lot of things stand-up adjacent before I did stand-up. And it's funny because I started off as a joke writer before actually going on stage. And so I would go to comedy shows and I would be like, hey, I think this joke would really kill. Or, you know, I would give my revisions and so forth. And
is this in Arizona?
This is in Arizona. And people would be like, this is really good. And kind of like an assassin, I would sit in the crowd and I would watch them bomb and then I would see my jokes kill. And it would be so gratifying, this like little thing where I'm in the background but no one knows. Yeah. It's my kill.
You're a mercenary.
Yeah, exactly. That's my kill shot right there.
Yeah.
And so I eventually realized that there was so much material, whether it be from my childhood, my experience, that I just knew had to be delivered by me because I don't see anyone like me on stage. I don't see people like me on TV or Netflix. And I realized maybe it's time that I be the representation that I've always wanted to see.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. It's interesting because everyone in comedy looks like me, obviously. But it is interesting because I was watching that Kevin Hart show on Netflix, and a lot of our friends are on that. And so proud. Shout out Caitlin Palufo, Usama Siddiqui. They crushed. And they're doing like that pre-interview process. You know, it's a show. So they got it like American Idol, like, oh, why are you here? Like, what was your childhood like? And everyone's telling these stories. But kind of adjacent to your point, I was like, oh, these are all like, oh, my parents were really funny, or like, oh, this was really funny. And I'm like, oh, I got into comedy because I almost died. And like comedy saved my life. And I was like, okay, I had a little bit of a different path than some other comedians, but it is, and that's why I've had people in my life, managers, agents, things like that. And they're always like, you should stick with like the silly stuff, like do the impressions or talk about the gym more. And I'm like, yeah, that's like filler. I don't want to talk about that. Like I want to talk about almost dying. I want to talk about being an alcoholic. I want to talk about I'm not even supposed to be here right now.
But you're at that level of comedy where I feel like there's a certain level of mastery, and I really relate to what you're saying, Brennan, because I think there's something exciting where comedy isn't just about getting straight to the laugh. It's about creating that roller coaster experience, those ups and downs. So the ups are even more fun, and the downs are even more precarious. And so I actually really love it when I hear myself, like when I say something so sad or so terrifying that it just knocks the wind out of the audience, and you hear all those gasps, and then you get to win them back with the laughter.
100%.
And I think there is a certain mastery when you get enough confidence in your creative voice and your abilities as a comedian to know that I can bring this ship down, but I can also pop it back up.
100%. And that's the thing that I've always been steadfast in is like, no, this is what I'm going to talk about. Like, I don't care. And that, I like to do that because obviously it's very important that you got on stage for everything that you talked about. And for everyone listening, it's important to see, because there's so many people. And I mean, obviously someone who studied American history and political science, those were my 2 degrees. It's never not important for someone, especially with your background, to give representation to people, because it's like, to the point you made earlier, the indigenous population has been forgotten about.
Yeah.
Like, people just think they're all gone. And it's like, no. I remember I went on a mission trip years and years ago, you know, us pesky Christians. But this is when I was a kid, and like we were going, and I remember we went from Florida, we took an RV up through Colorado into the Dakotas, and we stopped at all the reservations, and we got to sit in and learn about the indigenous population, and we got to sit in on festivals and things like that. And I remember I was so blown away by it, and all the books I read about pre-revolution history, especially in America, is all about the different tribes and stuff like that. And obviously coming from Florida, the Seminoles are, you know, the big, you know, unconquered, all that stuff. And so it is fascinating. But you were the first person. I started comedy in 2009. I've been watching comedy since 2000. You were the first person I've ever met, seen, or heard who's like, no, this is actually my life. This is what I lived. Which is important. And it's crazy that you're the first person. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been following comedy.
And that's a problem.
Yes, I completely agree.
It's a massive problem. And I say this all the time. There is a false scarcity created in this industry that makes people feel like I can't have 2 indigenous people on. I can't have 2 people of color on. I can't have 2 women on. I have to diversify. And I find myself what I call Chun-Liing it all the time, where I'm constantly the only female fighter in the racket here. And so I really challenge any producer or any club I work with to basically dissolve these antiquated narratives that there's not enough of us. There are a lot of amazing comedians. You should look at the Bad Indian Comedy special. Danger Emerson, he's a fantastic Navajo comic. We have some really great, amazing indigenous comedians here in town. We have like Kendall Davis, Brittany Cherie. There's not many of us, but those who are out there, we're movers, we're shakers, we're incredibly hardworking people because we are aware that we have a voice and a platform that's never been afforded to us.
100%. Yeah. And so I just wanted to say, you know, it's props to you for recognizing that and being like, no, I'm going to fix this. Because there's so many times in life, I think, where people are faced with challenges. Obviously, your situation more so than others, but it is one of those things where you could just be like, all right, fine. I'll just sit over here in the corner and I'll just sit and write the jokes. I won't actually get on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my people, we don't sit and complain.
And you were like, actually, fuck that. I'm going to get on the stage and I'm going to do the jokes I wrote. Actually, how about that? So it's great. I mean, it's fantastic. And I met you, a year ago now?
Yeah.
And it's been so much fun because you, like me, and I don't know if this is a trauma response. I don't know what this is, but you and I are both similar in the fact that if I think something's funny, and Rob J's a lot like this too. If I think something's funny, I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah,
like,
I don't withhold it.
Yeah.
I don't withhold my sneezes. I don't withhold my giggles. It feels weird, and I feel like some people.
And then people look at us like we're the weird ones.
We're the weird one. I'm like, why'd you come here? And also, I'll have people go like, well, that wasn't that funny, and I'm like, that was funny to me. I don't care what's
Comedy
subjective.
is 1,000% subjective.
It's subjective. And also I'm someone that really enjoys the tension. Like, I will laugh the most when someone like has like a little moment where they reset themselves, or like someone in the audience breaks a glass at a perfect time, and that's what will actually send me.
When Mike fumbled with his glasses 2
so
or 3 weeks ago,
good.
I almost died. Like, I could not breathe.
He looked like Steve Zissou.
Oh my
it was
God.
so funny.
It was the best. And then I started laughing so hard, and then you started laughing, and then I couldn't breathe.
We both couldn't breathe. We were both like needing an inhaler by the end
And
of
he
it.
didn't even say a joke. he was just fumbling with his glasses, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
The whole time is this man.
And it wasn't even on purpose. It was just like he has to wear glasses now because he's getting
like,
older.
"Do I look funny with my glasses?" And here he is with his Coke bottle eyes out
my
at us,
God, it was
looking
so-
like Millhouse, and we're just laughing like two bullies.
Yeah, we were.
We were mean girls, Brennan.
We were mean girls. So let's get into it. When was the first time you drank?
Oh gosh, so I think the first time I drank was, it's so silly, but I remember wanting some kids to think I was cool. And there were these like tough goth kids and they were doing hood rat shit. And I was like, I'm a goth kid, but I'm not tough and I don't know how to do hood rat shit. And by the way, like I've never been able to drink beer in my life. Like beer makes me immediately sick.
Really?
And I'm like totally allergic to it. Even if I don't care how fancy it is or whatnot. Like if I have a full sip, I will get sick to my stomach.
Oh, interesting.
And so the first drink I had was a 40 of Mickey's.
Oh God. So sick immediately.
Like I felt so horrible. And not only that, but I was such a dumb kid where I thought that like, whoever drinks the most wins.
Yeah.
I literally
Oh
looked
wait,
at
that's not how
not
it
how
works.
it works. I
That's
literally
not?
thought it was like bobbing for apples. I was so
That's how I
naive.
drank it well into my late 20s and until I turned 30
And
and
also,
got sober.
I grew up with nothing but both of my parents are alcoholics. Like, I really do have the genetics to go pro.
Yeah.
But miraculously, I'm not.
That's awesome. How middle school, high school? When was this?
I was freshman year of high school. Actually, it was my sophomore year of high school. I was
Okay.
14 years old.
Gosh, love it. So you sent me some stories, and they're very interesting stories. I want to do the kicked out of the party one last
Yeah.
because that's kind of a
I even like wrote a song about it.
that's.
That was a part of one of the bangers I wrote.
I want to save that one for last. The getting pulled over by the cop. Can you take us through that?
Okay, so I did have a moment of addiction in my life, and it's very lame to say this, but the only substance I've ever been addicted to was my own prescribed anti-anxiety medication.
Okay, that's not crazy.
It's
Anti-anxiety meds can be very
Well,
addictive.
especially when you're prescribed like basically enough Klonopin to drug a horse.
Love a little Klonopin.
Love a little
Love a lot of the Klonopin.
Yeah, no, and
I remember one time I was prescribed Klonopin, the time release Klonopin.
Yeah.
Because my anxiety is like pretty severe. So they prescribed me time release Klonopin to take in the morning, Xanax for my anxiety attacks. If my anxiety broke through the Klonopin, I had Xanax, and also Adderall because those two things could make you a little drowsy. So Adderall to keep me focused.
did we have the same psychiatrist in high school?
It was not. So I was 22 and I had finished college and I had moved back to Daytona and I was out of control with self-medicating and drinking and stuff. And I had my dad's insurance for a little bit longer. So I was like, oh, I need to figure this out because I had already gone to an AA meeting a couple of times. I was like, I'm drinking way too much. I had been getting arrested. I was like, I need to stop self-medicating. I went to a job interview for a restaurant for Outback that I worked at since I was 18, now 22, moved back to Daytona, and I was like, oh, I'll just get the job at the Outback. And I showed up hammered to the job interview. There's a couple of people I went to high school with that never left that worked there. And they're like, Brennan, what are you doing back? And I was like, fucking, they told me to get a degree. It didn't work. I yelled that in the middle of like the kitchen.
Oh
on
my God,
way
in
out.
front of the blooming onions and everything?
Everybody. Just drunk out of my mind. And then I came back again for a second interview because they needed all my paperwork. And the GM had worked in the system for a long time. So he knew me before I left. So he knew I was like a crazy person. And I remember he wasn't there. He was like on vacation when the assistant manager, who was like, oh, he's worked for the company for almost 5 years. Like we might as well, or 6 years, we'll just give him the job, or 5 years. And the GM had showed up when I came in. I was supposed to bring in my social security card, drunk again out of my mind. And I was like, I don't have it, but I have my tax return. It's got my social security number. They're like, no, you need your, like now the assistant manager is like yelling at me because I'm not listening because I'm drunk. And then the GM sees me walking out. And I remember we just caught eyes and I waved to him. And I literally got a call within like 3 minutes walking home being like, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah,
but thanks
they
for coming in.
fired someone in the back and then called you.
Yeah.
Like somebody was cooking meth in the kitchen next to the blooming onions.
they
And
were
they're
like-
like, it's Brennan's lucky day.
Yeah. And so after that, I was like, oh, I have a problem. I need to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And I went, and then they prescribed me all that. And
Yeah.
and at the time, being 22, I was like, oh, this will fix it. And I just drank on all that stuff, and it was way worse.
It feels like every doctor in my childhood was like obsessed with like, hey, this kid seems to be having some problems at home. Let's give him some meth.
Yeah.
Like,
let's crank them up.
Let's crank them up. Oh, now they're all anxious. Now let's crank them down.
So for you get Klonopin.
I get the Klonopin, and I get such a high dose because I used to have terrible panic attacks, like life debilitating panic attacks, and I'm so grateful that I
Feels
was
like
able
you're having
to,
a heart attack. You end up
I
in the
thought I was
hospital.
dying, and I didn't know it was happening to me as a kid, and I thought I was dying all the time, and I would literally faint, and my heart would race so fast I would just start fainting in places, and I would have to like get removed from school. I remember fainting on stage during a school play, and I just never knew it was coming. And so I got prescribed a very high dose of Klonopin, and the dose I was prescribed is like what you give someone after like a traumatic incident. Like if someone got in a car accident and those first 2 weeks to get their nerves to settle down was just my Tuesday.
That's a lot of Klonopin.
It's a lot of Klonopin, babe. Yeah, a lot of Klonopin.
What happened? Were you in an accident? Did something terrible happen? Just life. I'm living my life.
I'm just an indigenous woman who survived. Like,
I'm just alive.
I'm just one of the ones that was allowed to leave the reservation.
God. So what happens? You get pulled over.
So basically, it's a long story, but basically, long story short, I am 19 years old and I go to a mental hospital because I was having a bad time, and I was like, you know what? Let's opt out and unsubscribe from life. Mm-hmm. I survive, thank God, and glad to be here. And so I get a new psychiatrist, and they're looking at my meds, and they went, you do realize you were prescribed way too much Klonopin. And I was like, nah, actually, I probably could use more. I probably wouldn't be here if I had more. And so he said, he literally reduced my dose to nothing. He reduced my monthly dose to what I would take in a span of 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Like there was no withdrawal period. And so naturally, like a good addict, I took all those pills
of course,
in one day.
Yeah.
And then
As
just had horrible, debilitating withdrawals. And I remember having no fear of God when I was on Klonopin. It was like my amygdala, the frontal lobe of my brain just went night-night.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I was like in these bands, and I was doing stuff like you're going to hear in the last story. Just keep in mind that when you hear all these stories, mommy was on Klonopin, okay?
Yeah.
You know, she's a different woman now.
It is crazy how anti-anxiety medication basically, scientifically, it affects the same parts of your brain as drinking does.
Yeah.
It starts at the front and
it
works
lowers
its way
your
back.
inhibitions.
100%. And so it's a fascinating thing, because the reason why I loved drinking so much was because it got rid of my anxiety. Obviously, being a 18-year-old kid, not having any idea that, oh, I have a mental disorder, maybe I should actually be talking to someone about this. And that's my own fault, because when I was really little, everyone knew something was a little off, and I had been offered therapy and stuff like that, and I was like, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm a test. If we don't do that, blah, blah, blah. Eastern European, I'm strong, I'm tough. And then come to find out, like, I might have been one of those kids who was on medication his whole life, but also I would have avoided a lot more stuff had I been on medication. So for you, now you're in a precarious spot because you have no more meds.
And I'm withdrawing. Yeah. And naturally, when you're in the lowest point of your life is when very predatory men come and find you. It's like they can smell the bloods in the water. Mm-hmm. And so, oh my gosh, we looked like the poster for a drug-addled couple. Mm-hmm. And so he gets this great idea, is like, we're going to go to Mexico and we're going to get a ton of rochas, which are Mexican Valium, and we're going to be loaded up for the year. And so we literally are filling up duffel bags full of Mexican Valium.
Wow.
And we get pulled over on the Texas border. And basically, it was crazy. We had these two cops, and they were like playing bad cop, good cop, and they're like, "We should just shoot these junkies now." And literally, they said we should shoot these junkies now. And in their defense, I really did look like a junkie. I was wearing an oversized leopard print coat in the summer with smeared mascara, like literally years worth of mascara that I never removed. It was just only reapplied. It was like permanently etched on my face.
Tough luck.
the guy I was dating, he was so handsome, and like he was like literally like he actually was in a Gus Van Sant film and cut because he was too handsome, and they thought he looked more like a model than an actor.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. He eventually got stabbed in the face by a Mexican dwarf, and it felt great because he had such a pretty face.
Take that.
Take that. Karma is real.
I was just about to say the same
Be nice
exact
to
thing.
women, because guess what? They'll get you.
The little Mexican dwarf will get you.
She'll get you in your sleep. She's my sleep paralysis demon. And so basically he gets this great idea. We're smuggling drugs over the border. And I had just taken a fistful of a Mexican Valium, and I felt especially confident in that moment. And I get the great idea to drive to the Harris County Sheriff's Department and demand my drugs back.
So they end up letting you go?
They let us go, and they just confiscate our stuff.
Okay. So they take all your stuff and they're like, get out of here. We just want the stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're like, not so fast.
No, I was so delusional that I got so high off Mexican Valium that I became a Karen.
Yep.
I was like, I want to speak to your manager.
I need to speak to the supervisor, and I'd like your badge number, please.
So I roll into the Harris County Sheriff's Department in my ripped fishnets, an oversized leopard coat with my basically straight out of a Tim Burton movie boyfriend. And we roll in here, and they're like, hi, woman at the desk is really sweet. And, gosh, beautiful lady officer. Those lady cops, oof, they're bad. And they love it when you call them lady cops, too. And so I just give her the hand, and I walk straight back.
No, you did not.
I did. I just gave her the hand and walked straight back to the sheriff's office. And here is this comical Yosemite Sam looking son of a bee. And I tell him my story. I tell him everything and how I need these pills, and that this is no different than someone like with cancer going to get their treatment in Mexico, and that you're killing me. And he just pulls out a revolver, sets it on the table. He says, you have 1 minute to leave and never step foot in Harris County again.
Did you leave?
I said, thank you, sir. And I walked out.
I'll tell you what, drug strength is a real thing, but gun strength is a whole other animal.
And I knew that I had brought mental illness to a gunfight.
That's the bit. Well, speaking of dating people who use drugs and using drugs yourself, what happened with your friend's mom?
Oh, God. So this was another winner. This was a super cool guy. He was so cool that he was like 23 and dating me when I was 16.
Okay.
Super cool guy.
We've got another word for that.
Yeah, we do. It's called a PDF.
Yeah.
But, he was very sweet and very doting. It was very respectable. And like my dad loved him, but like my dad loves bad men. He's so basically... he had a roommate, and this roommate, Stefan, he was like this very clean. He was all a swaggy guy. He always had pomade in his hair, and he was like a lazy boy salesman, and he was like the top lazy boy salesman, but he also was like slang it on the side.
Yeah.
And so it was this very fun house where we had like a friend of ours, Raul, who lived in a building behind, and Raul's mom, Leonicia, would come and clean the house. And so Leonicia would come by, and she would clean, and she was a wonderful lady. And there was a week where Stefan was out of the house, and my shitty boyfriend was like, I'm going to do something so romantic. I made us a bunch of mushroom chocolates, and we're going to order pizza and bang all weekend. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Every kiss begins with K. And so...
Or pizza,
but we... he had a cute tray lined up of all these chocolates, and
I know where this is going.
Leonicia walks in, and she just naturally is so used to, like, if there's a treat out, she can help herself. Mm-hmm. We're all chill. And so Leonicia comes up to us and is like, what was in those chocolates? They taste weird. And I was like, wait, how many chocolates did you have? And she said, I had about 3. We're like, what? Because she didn't realize it, but she just ate an eighth of mushrooms.
That's a hero's dose.
That's a hero's dose right there. And so we didn't know what to do. And so it's just like, hey, Leonicia, don't worry about cleaning. Just chill. And so I sit her down and we start watching Law and Order SVU. And me and my ex, Justin, we're freaking out. We're like, what do we do? I was like, unnaturally, I bring up a very 16-year-old solution, which is, why don't we just give her a beer? and then she goes, I would like a beer, from the living room. And so we just crack open some beers and we literally tripped balls to Law and Order SVU for 4 hours.
God.
And then eventually she had to leave because she had a Bible study she was leading.
Wow.
And we're like,
leading, not just going to, leading.
And we're like, Leah, you should not go. You should not go to this. You should just call out. And she's like, I've never missed it. I've never missed it. The kids, they need to learn about Jesus from me. They need to learn about Jesus from me. And if I don't go there, they won't know about Jesus. And we're like,
you're about to see Jesus.
You're about to see Jesus. I'm pretty sure she thought Jesus was with us in that moment. And so we're like, please stay. And she's like, I'm fine. And so she literally just walks outside. And before we could even get to her, she just walks onto, it was like a perfectly timed bus, walks onto the bus and just goes off. Oh, and apparently that Bible study didn't go very well because Stefan evicted my boyfriend like a week later.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what happened at that Bible study, but apparently something got very real. And it came back that we were the ones that did it.
Oh, man.
And Stefan being like a really cool guy, like the moment he's like, hey, your boyfriend's homeless and I'm single.
You know those lazy boy salesmen.
Those lazy boy salesmen, man. He was trying to get me on that lazy Susan for sure.
God. What happened at the party?
So.
Mind you, before we get into this story.
I was on a lot of Klonopin.
I was on a lot of Klonopin.
I was on a lot of Klonopin.
All right.
I am a different woman today. I was not a woman at that time.
You are a pillar of your community. You are a role model.
I am a good, active citizen in my community.
An activist, as it were.
Yes, but when I was on a knockout an elephant dose of Klonopin, and even better, drinking on a knockout dose of Klonopin, which if you've never mixed Klonopin and alcohol, that's a recipe for a blackout.
Yes.
It's the only time in my life I've ever blacked out is when I was on Klonopin.
Yeah, even drinking a beer on Klonopin is like having 15 shots.
Yeah.
Because your brain has already started
You're already wasted.
Yeah.
And so, then you get super wasted and you get, I think Klonopin mixed with alcohol somehow equals meth. And I don't know how, but it does. You get all the energy in the world. And so a good friend of mine, still a good friend of mine, Jacob, and again, we've been sober for a long time now. And we were at a punk party and there was this drained out pool. People were skating. There was a band going. And basically we just dominated this whole block off the University of Arizona. And we became a terror to that block because anytime a cop would try to red tag us or stop by, we would move to the next house over.
Okay. So you're just moving.
We're just moving the locations.
Yeah.
And then if like we finally ran out of locations, we'd all just shut off the lights and lay low. Mm-hmm. And so at this party, my friend Jacob got really sloppy and got in a heated altercation with some guys who said some homophobic things to him. And I was not having it. And I mean, yes, he was being a little sloppy and drinking people's drinks and may or may not have broken their pool table. That's neither here nor there.
It's not.
You called my friend a slur. It's on.
Yep.
It's on. Okay. And so
there is a way to handle those situations. That's not the way to handle it. Calling someone like, I've been in plenty of altercations, which all could have been solved if we were just like, my bad. No, my fault. He drank a little too much. Bygones be bygones. But instead, someone's like, fuck you, beep. And you're like, oh, fuck me? No, now I'm going to destroy everything.
Oh, absolutely. No, I was bringing the whole ship down. And so this kid Griffin, he was a punk kid. He was very popular in the Tucson punk scene. And basically there was a guest bathroom and there was a crazy line and no one was leaving it. So someone was either banging or shooting up. And I was like, hey, we'll leave. We'll get out of your hair. But I need to go to the bathroom right now because on top of this, I had just done some cocaine. And that cocaine was definitely cut with baby laxative.
Yep.
And so I needed to go to the bathroom like now. And I was like, Griffin, it's either here or your living room. So let's chop. And so he takes me to his parents' bedroom. And so in the master bath, I release all. I went through what was known as a master cleanse.
Yes.
And so to be petty, I used one of his towels and I wiped my ass with it and I folded it neatly back up and I put it back into the towel cupboard.
Heavy doses of Klonopin, everybody.
Heavy doses of Klonopin, people here. And it was something where, like, as I was doing this, I knew it was pure evil and I was so proud of myself. And even to this day, I feel no remorse.
No, that is, people talk about upper deckers. That, wiping with a towel and then folding it perfectly back to where you can't see that and putting it in the, because nobody's going to fucking know where that came from. And it's going to stink to high heaven.
And they can't find it.
And no, because they're going to open the closet and be like, is it down here? Because everyone's immediately going to look for like a dead mouse on the floor or something.
Exactly.
No one's going to think, it's going to be weeks before they switch towels.
It was brilliant, honestly.
They're going to pull out walls to see if there's mold.
Oh, yeah. No, it was amazing. And so
No one ever thinks to look at the towels.
no one thinks to look at the towels. And so if I came over to your house and you have a funny smell, look at your towels.
Absolutely.
Look at the towels there. And so I even wrote a song about it when I was in my Riot Girl band Pussy Whip.
Pussy Whip? That's one of my favorite ones.
And the chorus was, kick me out your party so I shit in your towel, fold it up, put it back, let you find out.
Bam.
Bam, it's a banger.
Banger. Go ahead.
It's great. And the best part was no one knew it was me.
Yeah.
No one
would think
no
it
one
was
knew.
you.
And so years later, I'm talking over a decade later, Brennan, I post this story on social media and I write like a little article about just me being like a little goth punk curmudgeon and the punk scene that was happening in Tucson and the community it developed. And I wrote about this story and just like, yeah, that was typical punk rock nonsense. And so
Just the lifestyle, the way the world at the time.
it was just the way the world works. And I had a good friend of mine, Alan, reach out and he said, hey, did this happen to be off an empty pool house off Fifth Avenue? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, were you at that party? He's like, I wasn't at that party, but I was there when they found the towel.
Oh, full circle.
Yes. And like literally, Brennan, it took him over a week. And like Griffin's mom was doing laundry and just like literally went to go grab a fresh towel. And she grabbed a fresh towel,
baby. This was a blast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me,
We
Brennan.
gotta have you back on.
Yes, please do. Anytime.
Plug everything one more time. Social media, the show, everything.
Check me out, Hozho Harris. Book me for your parties, acting, comedy, you name it. I do it. I have a show every Tuesday at 5 p.m. at the Rose in Chelsea. You can catch my upcoming special feature, hopefully that's going to be produced around November. Find my Substack, find my Medium. I write comedic op-eds every week, and I look forward to seeing you online.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. At Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Shooting the special May 17th, Sunday, 7 p.m., 9 p.m., Grove 34, right here in Astoria. Get your tickets, BrennanTComedy.com or at Grove34.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Boom.
Boom.